On this episode of Les Roll Radio, we talk about gyms with multiple coaches. How do we decide who is responsible? This is Les Roll Radio, a combat sports podcast. I'm Kelly Shennicky.
And I'm Andrea Shennigy. Welcome to the podcast.
We haven't had an episode since before camp.
That is true.
So camp happened.
It did, and it went super well.
It was great. Biggest one yet. We have the dates out for next year. Already sold a bunch of tickets. I actually think we're like a third at capacity.
Oh, wow.
I think we were a third at capacity back when we announced the dates. Like we got a huge influx then.
That's awesome.
So yeah, lots of good things happening with that. I believe we are going to do an invitational next year.
Yeah.
We're talking about doing that in addition to the super fights. We were very influenced by Tori and Mighty Dames. And we'd already, separate from that, I want to give her flowers, but separate from that, we had talked about that for several years and eventually doing a tournament, and that's still the goal. But in the interim, we are going to do an invitational. And so at some point, as we get a bit closer, we will have applications both for the invitational and the super fight. So it'll be a bracket and then super fights.
Yes.
Separately. So very similar to what Tori and Mighty Dames did for the super heavies. You should check out what they did. Yeah, if you're out there, it was really, really cool. In Florida. We had one of our girls go down and compete.
Yes, we did.
Petra, she did great. We're very proud of her. I'm just kind of all over the place because it's been so long. I'm like, what's the news? What has happened?
Oh, I've got a good one. Kelly got her brown belt.
Yay.
Woohoo!
Yes.
Yes, Kelly got her brown belt.
Yes.
And yeah.
Anyway, awkward with attention. Oh, I'm having shoulder surgery.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
What's funny is I should have had shoulder surgery. That's too many S's.
Already.
I canceled it.
Yeah.
And like, I'm going to rehab this. So in fact, friends, you can't heal a torn shoulder labrum. It happened, we suspect, at Worlds, and I had trained on it and it continued to get bad. And it is now very unstable.
Completely torn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like torn fully all the way around, every direction, top, bottom, both sides. So yeah, my shoulder doesn't sit normally, it sits lower. So taught camp. Oh, I didn't mention that. I taught at camp. I don't think we had talked. We did talk about that because we did a camp preview and we had learned that John was having knee surgery and I was filling in. So I taught my first seminar.
Yes. On a completely torn shoulder.
And yeah, going to have surgery. So I think that's it. Anything else big?
No, I don't.
It's
think
always
so.
an injury report when we give updates.
Yeah.
Constantly.
I mean,
we're two very injured ladies with hypermobility.
I would say almost anybody that does jujitsu probably has these updates at some point.
I just feel like hours are excessive at this point. But anyway, enough yapping about us and those updates. Today we are talking about multiple coach gyms, and I think this could be a small gym like ours, and this could be, you are at a huge big gym where just out of necessity there are so many classes that one coach can't teach all of the classes. But it's really a callback to our last full episode that we did on flattening the hierarchy, and the core tension that we are thinking about and want to talk about today is this: there's no single head coach who's responsible for progress. And we are going to share what we are doing. And we are sharing this as a way to frame the discussion and perhaps to give people ideas. But by no means do we have a perfect system.
Oh, absolutely not.
So we also want feedback. As always, we put these podcasts out into the world. I love listener questions. I love when people comment on social media, but it's really great when people jump in the Discord and comment and talk about the episodes too. So if you have thoughts after listening to this, including pushback or just something else we should consider, we would very much be interested. You can also always DM us too. But we like to have continued conversations since the nature of this podcast is so otherwise one direction. And we actually, for having a podcast, don't just like talking at you, believe it or not.
Believe it or not.
The Discord is honestly the best part of this entire thing. Everyone's welcome. Link is in the show notes. All right, so let's talk initially about why this even matters. The question, right? I mean, we again, if you go back to the flattening the hierarchy episode, our reason for it is that we think it is important to not have a single source of authority both in terms of preventing abuse of power,
Yes.
but also so that students have an opportunity to learn from many different people with different perspectives, different styles of jujitsu, different socioeconomic backgrounds, like that their experience as a student will be richer with multiple voices.
Agreed.
So that's why we do it. But why this question matters of who is responsible, I think that this comes up quite a bit. I mean, it would be a question I would have as a student. Who is tracking my progress? Who is responsible for the direction I'm trying to take with my jujitsu? And am I even being seen consistently or even being seen at all? Am I getting lost in the cracks? So question for you, Andrea, have you ever, and it doesn't have to be in a multi-coach gym, just you've trained at many different places, many different people, attended many camp seminars, whatever. Any training situation where you have felt like you weren't being fully seen or your progress wasn't being fully seen?
Yes, I have. And I think a lot of it is, I've actually not been in a gym with multiple, where there's not like one head coach besides our own experience. And when I was in head coach gyms, it's so hard even just for the head coach to be able to see you physically, the room is full of 40 people. How are they going to be able to see you and everyone else at the same time, just in general?
Yeah.
Whereas if there are multiple coaches, there were coaches like walking around, but they're also not tracking my progress.
I mean, sometimes also I would think it was like, or I would notice it was more like higher belt students who were injured, who maybe couldn't drill the move. So it wasn't even like a coach necessarily walking around and helping. And that's like nice in terms of having someone maybe help you with the move. But what would have made you felt more seen in those places?
I would say, as cheesy as it sounds, just hearing my name. So maybe if the coach was walking around and said, Andrea, that looked good. Or like just essentially feeling the reach out, feeling like you matter and you're there. Is that too difficult for one person to do with 40 people?
Well, I wonder also, this is kind of getting a little off topic, but that's fine, if there should really be a standard that we have in terms of like coach to student ratios.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it is, but the thing is, like, when we get to even 10 students ish in class, depending upon how skilled they are, I sometimes find that is where it's a turning point where I really need you not drilling with someone and I need you helping me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine doing a 30-40 class,
like on a stand,
let alone
regular.
like one of the huge massive sort of gyms, without having coaching support.
Yeah.
It almost feels like it needs to be like a daycare ratio of some sort.
I was literally thinking that when you said the ratio.
Like a 1-10, or,
I think even like a 1-6 or 1-7.
That's probably like a best practice, but like probably 1-10 is like the real high end.
Yeah.
And I've never heard anyone talk about that, but it's hard. It's really, really hard. And so what happens is the students that are getting it get ignored.
Mm-hmm.
And the students that are struggling through it, whether because they're new or they're just struggling through it. I'm a brown belt, and Joe had to give me a lot of attention on Saturday because I was struggling with a particular move. So it's not always the new people, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, if you're really like struggling with something and the coach has to really break it down for you and give you one-on-one attention, then that means the other people aren't getting seen during that time. And ideally, like, everyone has their moment, but I don't know. I don't want everyone's moment to occur over months. I want it to be like every class they have.
Right.
That experience of really getting direct interaction and direct feedback. If I'm not going over to someone, I try to go over and say, hey, I haven't been over here a lot, but I have been watching you and you're doing great. That's why I haven't come over, but I just wanted to say that to you.
I've incorporated something that Jamie taught us.
Who's Jamie?
Jamie Owens, the gym crew fit that we coach out of, is the saying a student's name 3 times in a class.
Yeah.
Or just while they're in the building. And I've really leaned into that, and I think it's been really nice, because I think
it feels nice.
Yeah, because I would have liked that.
Yeah. I like that. I don't know if I have like a quota personally, but I have felt like my progress wasn't seen at different times. I think sometimes, and that hasn't been in multi-coach gyms. That's been part of the problem, is there's too many students per coach.
Yeah. Are we unraveling something here right now?
Maybe in the moment.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about why we use the multiple coaches anyway, right? That it's about avoiding that single authority, and that we have concerns about power dynamics, potential for abuse, also limited exposure to one style. Another thing I just wanted to mention is, like, I don't know everything. I am not a professional teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a professional business coach or person. I have no education background in that, but like I do believe in evidence-based practices. So I've been trying really hard and stepping into a coaching role to be more mindful of what I don't know and to try to read books. I mean, like I'm reading a lot of like ecological books, sport specific ecological books, because I really care about that. I care about different methods of learning. And yeah, I just want to be like the best I can be because students are paying for a service and they deserve that. That's like the minimum I can do. But one thing that I thought was a really good resource, and I've read it before, but I reread it recently, is Pedagogy of the Oppressed. And in that book, he talks about that educational models where the knowledge is flowing from a single, unquestionable sort of authority to passive learners is problematic in and of itself. Not just in terms of abuse of authority, but also learning outcomes. And he argues instead, and again, it's very evidence-based, this book, that dialogue and participation is more important rather than that passive learning. And of course, he's not writing about jujitsu, but I do feel like that work raises a really important question for jujitsu. And it's like, how do we still preserve expertise without creating one unquestionable authority? And so if our goal, like our thesis for why we are structuring this gym and this program the way we are, is we want to have a diversity of styles, perspectives, and approaches, kind of always keeping that like at the forefront of our mind. Both the goal and that question is like, how do we still preserve expertise without placing it all in one person? So I'm curious, have you experienced an unhealthy power dynamic in jiu-jitsu?
I feel like everyone has.
Yeah.
Like just that's kind of the, I don't want to say traditional style, but that it feels like
there's a lot of unhealthy power dynamics. Like it's pervasive. It's such a big question, right?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time articulating just because I think everyone has experienced it, whether you understand or not, because it's so rooted in this deep tradition of sensei daddy that power goes to people's heads.
100%. Even I think if they mean well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And we talked about that in the former episode too. We were talking about abuses of power. That's, I think, a huge part of the problem is it's not just that everyone that abuses power is like inherently evil, but that even good people can abuse power and make mistakes. And that's what makes it more tricky, is I think acknowledging that. It's easy just to brush those people off as bad, but understanding it's more complicated than that is very, very important.
Yeah.
Because I think we overlook when abuses happen if we just say bad people are the only people that do it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Completely.
So it can be people you love and care about that also will abuse their authority.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think I posted something on my story the other day about grifters and some other stuff and on Instagram, and everyone that responded to me, I think like maybe 3 people knew who I was talking about. Everyone that responded to me either asked me if it was about something else or they had their own story. I got so many responses. And it was like just really interesting and not funny, haha, but funny. Like it was kind of a funny, peculiar sort of moment for me because I felt like I was talking about something very specific. And it was kind of borderline terrifying to get that response and then to realize how pervasive this is throughout martial arts.
Yeah.
That people just from all over the country were like, oh my God, that just reminds me of this coach or this gym I was at or this camp I went to or whatever. And oh, that's tough. So to get into more specifics about the multiple coach system, to kind of like bring it back to the question for today, how we make sure no one is overlooked. So I try to generally not center us and center our gym in these conversations, but I do want to talk about what we are doing really specifically again. So this can be a dialogue. We can provide people with information that they can take and use or discard. That's for you. But we just want to give this out to everyone. And if you, again, want to poke holes in it, you're more than welcome to. We would love that. But we do try to have some built-in consistency. So we do have multiple coaches for sure, but I do teach about half of the classes total. And I teach most of the grappling classes, like meaning I'm kind of putting like our takedown class separately, comp class, which you run a little separately, but in terms of just kind of like co-ed grappling classes, I teach the majority of them.
Yes.
So over 50%. And then I teach 50% of the classes, period. So there is a consistent through line if you are training regularly. I also attend as a student. So for someone to not see me in class, they would literally have to train once a week.
Yeah.
Because right now I don't go in on Mondays. And we've even talked about changing that.
Yeah.
Where maybe we alternate Mondays. It's just really hard because it's our day off right now.
Yeah.
So, we haven't done that. And I think coaches, everyone needs a day off, but there is a consistent through line. We are both there too on those other days. You're there also when I'm teaching. So there is some consistency just built in. This isn't that there's 10 classes taught by 10 different people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think another big thing that I don't know if students always see, but I think it kind of actually interestingly goes back to the saying their name.
Yeah.
Is we are very actively observing. We are at open mat even when we are broken and not rolling.
Mm-hmm.
I have a torn shoulder. I rolled 3 rounds today and I'm in a lot of pain. I couldn't participate the whole hour, but I watched other people's rounds when I wasn't rolling. And there are times where sometimes we're both not rolling and we still go all the way up to the north side, do our little 45-minute drive, because it's so important for us to be present and to watch our students. Like rolling with your coach is cool, but for us as coaches, I get more out of watching them roll with their peers and with other people than rolling with them myself, if anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we actively watch the rounds. We're not just present. I'm not saying we never yip yap, not above it, but like we are absolutely actively watching. I actually told Nathaniel's really great about recording rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I actually told him today I'm going to have to start saying no to being the person that sometimes he'll just be like, hey, if you're sitting out, can you record?
Yeah.
And I said today, hey, I'm really trying to do better about not doing that. I love that you record them, but I need to not be the person. And he's like, that makes sense because you're in the coaching role. Yeah, for sure. And like he took it really well, but that's very important that we have time where we are observing them and it's not always us rolling with them.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of divide nights between training nights and coaching nights.
Yeah.
For the most part, or at least I do.
Yeah.
And so I have times where I'm a student and I'm rolling, but yeah, I just think that's incredibly important that they're being seen. So I wonder if that name thing helps them know that they're being seen, because I know they're being seen, but do they know they're being seen if someone's not actually saying their name and telling them that they're doing well or not doing well?
Yeah.
I mean, and hopefully it's more positive reinforcement, because I just think generally people learn through positive reinforcement more than correction. Like I try to not correct a lot, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
Because everyone's just going to kind of figure that out. Like we teach technique too, but for the most part, if someone's rolling or they're participating in any of our CLA games, I don't really correct. I really just give positive reinforcement so they pick up on what they are doing well and they learn that way. So yeah, we talked about training balance a little bit, that, Saturdays, Sundays, I'm a student. So I'm also modeling kind of student behavior. In that case, you are too. But our other coaches do the same. So,
we almost have a coach in every single, like a coach that's not teaching in every single class.
And I think that's really, really important. So, Wes comes to Brandon's class. I've seen Brandon in Wes's class. Wes and Joe are always in mine. I'm always in Joe's. And then you attend pretty much all of them. So like there's always a coach around and in each other's classes. So we're modeling that we are students alongside our students in addition to being coaches. So going back to the rolling thing that we were talking about, have you always felt like your coaches have been actually watching you roll?
No.
Is that because they were rolling the entire time too? Like they were training and getting their training in? Or was it because they were not paying attention, or both?
Both.
Okay. So maybe different people, different things.
Yes. Different coaches in my life, different things. But yes, I've experienced both. And though it was cool to see my coach rolling all the time, they couldn't watch me.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be self-centered, but I did want feedback. And
I think everyone does.
Yeah. And it was hard to get that because they would come to me with feedback and I'm like, wait, I don't even do that.
Yeah, that's the worst. I've had that many times.
And then other times.
Or they roll with you like one time and they see a pattern and it's like, well, that's just with you because you're a 3-stripe black belt or whatever.
Right.
That's not pervasive across my jiu-jitsu. You're clearly not watching me roll.
I did find that the people, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I've had both.
What about people who didn't pay attention?
People who didn't pay attention, I felt like that was almost worse.
Yeah, that's more disrespectful. Yeah, 100%.
While it was cool to watch my coach get to roll, less cool if nothing's happening.
I've said this quote before in the podcast, so I'll say it again, but one of my favorite quotes from one of our friends was, they just sit in the corner and eat eggs.
Yeah.
It's not the first time I've said it, so I'm not...
If
you know, you know. If you don't, it's fine. But yeah, I feel like that's worse when people aren't paying attention or they're not watching you. I've had that happen too, where I've had a sense that I'm not being paid attention to or I'm not getting attention. And then I have watched very intentionally for like, I don't mean to sound crazy, but for like weeks or months to make sure that that's not just my perception, but that's actually what's happening. And then I've seen that.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, literally trying to make eye contact with the coach the entire time I'm rolling, especially if they're sitting out and they're not looking over once.
Well, I know you used to always give me shit
for making eye
contact.
But you were like trying to see if anyone was paying attention. You're like, does anyone give a shit about what's happening right now?
Yeah.
I think like it's so important too, because drilling, I don't know, like drilling to me is where you can really fuck things up. Like I would never watch someone drill and be like, they're a fucking idiot. Because like if you can't,
that's the point. The point
yeah,
is
if
you're
you
fucking
can't
up.
be vulnerable while drilling and look like a fucking idiot, then like that's a bad learning environment. So I would hope I'm not evaluated ever on my drilling.
You shouldn't be.
I would hope it would be more like my live application that I'm really being evaluated on. Yeah, so I have had that too, where I've had coaches that train the whole time, and it's like cool because you're like, yeah, I have a coach that rolls. That's great. But also, again, if they're always in that, they are training themselves or they really consider their role as a coach to be sparring with you, that means they maybe spar with 5 people that night in a class of 40, like we said. So then you have 35 people who didn't get seen at all.
You know what? I will say that I have had coaches who did make me feel seen, but to the detriment of other people. It almost felt
that's important too.
It almost felt too much, and at that point I appreciated it because I wanted the attention.
And then you don't realize it until you're kind of looking at it more objectively later that wasn't cool.
Yeah,
yeah.
I felt like that was important to say.
I've never had that. I've had that in other sports or other hobbies. I've never had that in jiu-jitsu where I felt like I was getting extra attention, but I've seen it. I've seen it from you. I was a student alongside you and I saw that. I saw that with you. I've seen that with you a lot because I think you are very earnest and you go at it and people really want to help you and you're very kind and you're a good competitor. So like I've seen you get that extra attention. That's so hard because like we have competition training right now and you know, it's very important that it's mutually beneficial. So like we ask people to come, but we praise them, I hope, and thank them heavily for coming and helping the competitors. But we ask them like, did you get something out of it? Did you feel good about it? And like the people come not just to help the competitors. I mean, they are there for that reason, but they're also selfishly, as they should, there for their own training. So yeah. I don't know. I just think that that's important that you're not, you know, you have people that you have to take care of differently at different times because they have different needs. Like a new person who doesn't know how to do something and you have to kind of like spend a little more time with them and break something down, or the competitor that has a competition in 2 weeks. Like everyone kind of has their different moments, but you have to make sure everyone has their different moments and that you're not forgetting people.
Absolutely.
So important.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Do you think there's other ways to take in any sort of data about people besides watching them drill or roll?
Yes. Like not live rolling. We have a student, a female, who's been sending clips of drilling or clips of rolls, and that's been helpful.
Yeah. I think another thing for me is like seeing how they talk to other students.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't think everyone has to be a teacher, so I'm not evaluating like their ability to teach, but I do pay attention to that.
Also just them being a good drilling partner.
Being a good drilling partner too.
Yeah.
Those sort of things. So, you know, like that there's an intentionality to the training, that they're being a good training partner, that they're getting reps in, that it's kind of a slippery thing, like being helpful, but not becoming the coach, because that's kind of a pet peeve of mine is if you're coming there in a student role, you shouldn't have to coach, even if you like doing it. And like, I like coaching. I want to do that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the most respectful thing to everyone that they're not coaching. So I don't mean that, but they can still help new students, right? Like, and seeing how they talk through things. Like, I think that can really, for me, gives me really good data on their conceptual understanding of jiu-jitsu besides just live rolls.
I would say we have a student who's really good at guiding new people.
I think we have a couple. I think we have a lot. Yeah.
One specifically that I just feel does super well, and he just got his blue belt recently. So Coleman.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm just gonna shout out my boy Coleman real quick.
Who will never listen. But Petra probably will, and we'll tell him.
Yes, that I think he's
really good.
I mean, I agree. We have a lot of students that do this, but
Yeah. I was going to say we have a lot, so I didn't even know who you were talking about, honestly. But no, he's actually really, really great. And it was kind of funny because when he got his blue belt, like a bunch of the women from women's class, usually they stay, but we had quite a few leaving that night. And we had like a group that like stayed just to watch him get his blue belt. And I was like, it's like Coleman's like
girl posse.
Yeah, little girl posse, because like we've had so many new women come in and he's been a very safe training partner for them. And he's really good at explaining in a way that's not condescending and is like very helpful. But also he knows he's gotten better about knowing what he doesn't know.
Yes.
And when he can like bring one of us in versus he can kind of handle it on his own. So
So just a little shout out.
Yeah, but that's like, I get that. That's like a thing that you can watch and a way that you can take in data. So how we stay aligned, because I think that that's probably the most critically important thing. You know, we can say, okay, we're watching you all the time. We are physically there quite a bit, but we're not always there. Like we don't always see the exact same things. So ways that we stay aligned, you and I.
Kelly and Andrea.
So for the sake of this, I'm going to say we are the head coaches at our gym. I don't use that term socially.
No.
Ever. I don't refer to myself that way in the gym. I think of myself as like a program administrator. That's what, I don't know. I don't actually really know what to call myself, but neither of us use that.
Yeah.
Really. And that being said, just for the sake of this discussion, I am explaining that as our role. We do run the jiu-jitsu program, as uncomfortable as I am with honorifics or titles. It is true. It is true. I admit it. So we have a way that we communicate with our other coaches, but because we are the head coaches, we have our own communication with one another.
That is correct.
That is a little different. So we do a weekly Sunday check-in. A lot of times we do it in the car.
Yep.
And it is a literal 2-page list. It's long. And it has a number of questions. And it is things we are discussing about the program, about our coaches, and about specific students. And we do that every single Sunday.
Every Sunday.
And that has just been incredibly helpful. Incredibly helpful. We also have shared systems that go beyond us that all of our coaches have access to. So we have a progress tracking spreadsheet. I think that's incredibly important in no-gi in particular, because we can like write down stripes or write down like roughly 2/3 of the way through a blue belt or whatever, right? If they're not getting striped. But it has columns to fill in and put comments, and, you know, specific coaches can put their own comments in there. And so it tracks their progress. There are comments, things to think about. We can almost have discussions with one another. We have a Discord for coaches, like a channel, I should say, within our Discord. And then we have a promotions chat, which is even separate.
Yeah.
So we kind of break up how we talk about those things. We are trying to understand that inherently, when you have multiple coaches, an inherent risk, I just think we should just acknowledge the downside to this system, is that it is possible, if you don't do all of these things very intentionally, that people could fall through the cracks.
Absolutely.
And so we don't want that to happen. So that's why we're doing all of these things. We also want to just ensure that no one's operating like super independently. Like our coaches have a lot of authority. They are trusted. There's a reason that they are coaches. But we just want to be aligned generally on expectations as well. And we want to be very collaborative with discussions about students, about their progress, about promotions, etc. So promotions, to talk about that a little bit, we have active conversations about who is close to the next belt and what they need. And I try to think about people when they're 6 months to like a year out.
Yes. Yeah.
That is hard because we are not McDojoing people. We are not like every 3 months you get a stripe. Like there's not that. So this is a next to impossible way of measuring things.
Right.
But if you have been coaching, I think any length of time, and aside from, you know, being a head coach is newish to us. We've been doing this program about a year now in the head coach role, about 6 months, over 6 months now, 7 months. But I've coached for years at this point, since I was a blue belt. I think that you can pick up on general patterns. You can very easily pick up on how fast people are growing, have a sense of how regularly they're training, and you can have a guesstimate, and it's going to fluctuate. So it's like, again, I just want to emphasize this isn't a McDojo thing, but I try to think about people. I mean, I don't want people to take from this that we don't care about someone who just got newly promoted. And in fact, I always say, hey, this person just got their blue belt. Let's not forget about them, or whatever it may be. But there is a certain amount of, when you get a belt promotion, you just kind of have to like cook a little bit. I think that happens, and you need to do some exploration and that sort of thing. So we're still watching them. I just mean that we're having a different sort of conversation about the people that are getting closer. Not that we're talking about them more, but it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
And so it becomes a little bit more like, okay, who's close? What do we think that they need to work on? What does the next 6 months look like? And what does maybe the 6 months following? So that's important to us. We also do not believe in the you did not ask culture. I hate that. I think that's really toxic, where it's either implied or stated like you need to ask me where you're at and where your progress is at. We're going to talk about this, but you should
Yeah.
as a student, but it's my job to guide you, even if you're not asking.
Yeah, that is your...
It's all of our
that
jobs.
That's the coach's role.
Yeah. So if someone doesn't ask, I'm not going to I just think it's incredibly disrespectful to then disregard their progress or not pay attention to their progress or not care about it or not provide them with the feedback they need because I have some sort of mind game that I'm wanting to play. So we don't do that, period. And I've had that done at many gyms I've been at. And I don't like it. Have you ever felt like, I'm curious, I think I know the answer to this, that your progress and your path to promotion was clear or not clear? Before you answer that, I want to add one thing that I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a shared drive with resources for all of our students on many different things. So it has a competition folder, it has game plan information, it has a digital game plan thing that you can walk through and create your own game plan if you don't know how to do one. It has new student guide, lots of cool things, but it has a very robust guide about promotions and what we expect at every belt level and the things we're looking at. And we are aligned across our coaches that this is the standard. If any of us individually were to give out belts, maybe we would have a different standard, but this is the aligned standard for CrewFit.
Yep.
That we all agree to and was built based on input from multiple people, not just me arbitrarily doing it or you arbitrarily doing it or whomever. So I did want to say that first, that's also an important thing, is that students can and should at any time go in
and look at it.
In addition to having conversations about what would it mean to get a blue belt? What do I need to do to get a blue belt? They can go in and they can read on their own, look at what we look at, and they can see our different factors, I'll call them, that go into promotions, because it's not just rolling with your peers. We've talked about that a lot, but it's not just that. There's so many other things. Mm-hmm. And it's really broken up very specifically. So sorry, back to the question. Have you ever felt like your path to promotion was not clear?
Yes. I've never had a clear path to promotion, ever.
Oh, shit.
That is just facts. At any belt.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think as I've gotten closer, I don't know right now, having just got my brown belt, what Jacob thinks a black belt from me would look like. Mm-hmm. And I think the second I got my purple belt, I told you this, I was going to immediately be like, what do I need to do to get my brown belt? And not in I'm not happy with my purple belt way, but I want to immediately start actively working toward that and be able to align my personal goals for jiu-jitsu with whatever his expectations are, because I do care about getting the black belt one day. So, I don't want to just do my own thing entirely. So I try to balance the two. So I think with Jacob, yes, I would say. Otherwise, no.
Yeah.
I've never known or understood. And I think the thing is I've often not seen consistency when people have said that they have criteria or they don't have criteria. So I can't understand why the inconsistency, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That's been something I've asked for before when I've been a coach and I've been asked, what do you think about this person's progress? And I'm like, how are you measuring it? And I don't get an answer. That's very frustrating to me, because then it just feels like it's vibes. And while we may understand that holistically, there isn't really a clear standard across the board for belts, across the sport, at least within your own gym, there should be a system.
Yeah.
And then the other frustrating thing I've seen with myself or other people is there is a clear system, but it's not actually applied fairly and appropriately. I've seen people that they don't like, or people that anyone in particular. This has happened with many coaches and at gyms I haven't trained at, people I just know that they don't like, don't get promotions, or people who don't care about promotions don't get promotions, even though they put the time in. They're like, that person's old, he doesn't care. Well, I don't care. He's literally training as much as the other people. And if you really want to get into it, I think progressing about the same rate. Why did they get a full belt promotion and he didn't get a stripe in that entire period? That's wild. So I would say that's what I have seen, not just with my own path to promotion being unclear, but with others, that even when there is a criteria, it's not actually being fairly applied. So it's meaningless.
Like a moving target.
It's totally meaningless at that point if you're not actually being fair and applying it. And then that opposite situation of being I can't answer your question about where they are because there isn't a universal standard for what a purple belt is. So what is your criteria? And I can tell you if they fit into that based on my coaching or my roles or whatever with them. And I would say just no one can ever handle those conversations.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
Mhm.
You were blunt too.
Yeah.
So, kind of alluded to this earlier, but like the reality of having multiple voices, another inherent fault with that is, even when you have strong systems, you're going to hear different things from different people. Different coaches are going to see different problems, offer different solutions. And this is really normal across any skill or mentorship type environment, period. And although I know he's not like the greatest person, unfortunately, but Neil Gaiman, the author, says something about writing, and I don't have the exact quote, but the idea is what's important here. And I think it really applies. He says, like, if something says something's wrong with your work, they almost always are wrong about what is wrong, but they are right that something isn't working. And what that means is like, you have to take some ownership on your part when you're getting feedback and how you apply it. And so the really, really, really tricky thing, and it's the same for writing. So I teach, for context, if I've never mentioned it, I teach creative writing sometimes. Not recently, but I have an MFA in creative writing, and I've taught it at the college level before, adjunct occasionally. So it's the same thing. Like, I feel very similar how I teach writing is like how I teach jujitsu, where people are getting feedback. I am offering feedback, but they have to be able to take it and make a decision about whether or not they want to apply it or how they're going to apply it. It can't just be me imprinting on them, and they are not free thinkers. I don't think anyone can ever get good, let alone elite at anything, if they are not able to take that sort of ownership. And so I would say if you're in a multi-coach system, that's going to be complicated, right? Because you're going to have more coaches who are going to have real issues that they're identifying, and their solutions may differ.
Yeah.
But I think if you reframe it just as data points and you look for patterns over time, it goes back to the Neil Gaiman quote. It doesn't really matter exactly what their solution is. It's that they're pointing out something is wrong. And it may be for you to actually figure out what the solution is, because they're probably not wrong that something isn't working, but you can take kind of that data from different people and you can figure out patterns, and then you can get something out of that. And I think that even if that is more complicated, that is absolutely, period, going to lead to a better outcome.
Yeah.
Than just blindly following people and just blindly listening. And if you're in a one coach system, I'm not saying that you can't push back on your coach or you can't disagree with them, but like it's going to be harder.
Yeah.
And if you have multiple coaches, you're going to be forced to do that because they will not all say the same thing. They're all going to see things differently, even if they're all good and all skilled and all talented. That's just human nature. How do you, or have you in the past, processed feedback when you've gotten feedback from different people that maybe doesn't align necessarily?
Yeah. In the past, I would just kind of pick one and go with it, because
How'd you pick one?
Whoever's jujitsu I liked better.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one head coach, but multiple people walking around the room and would give different advice. Just whoever I thought had the prettier jujitsu, I'd be like, okay, I would like to emulate.
Gravitate toward that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how I used to. I feel like I do a better job of taking information in now and figuring out how it works for me.
Do you think that that's changed with belt levels?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I would say that, again, using creative writing as an analogy, like the way that you teach really, really good people and really, 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 really brand new people is actually very much the same. And then I'm going to say that's like the top and bottom 5%, so 10%, and then 90% of people in the middle, you just say keep writing. So like when you workshop their stories, and not all, I got this from Kyle Miner. He has a really new good book out. If you're a reader, you should get it. So shout out to Kyle, who also will never listen to this. But he was a mentor, or is a mentor of mine. And I had him for creative writing at Butler in my MFA program. And he talked a lot about that. And it's really informed how I teach creative writing and also jujitsu. Is like, yeah, the bottom 5%, and not bottom like they're shit, but like really brand new, truly don't know what they're doing. You tell them very explicitly what to do. The top 5% that are like almost fucking done and they just need like some very intentional and specific feedback, you give them that specific and intentional feedback. So you're actually treating those two groups exactly the same. Mm-hmm. Everyone else, you just say, you're doing great, keep going. Because it's really like CLA as it applies to creative writing, right? It's that the act of it is how you make those discoveries, and figuring it out yourself leads to the best outcomes.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So that's like my, in general, like philosophy as a teacher. But I think that also informs how I learn, because I kind of just assume that I'm going to mostly be in that 90%. and that I have to kind of just figure things out. And I just take the things in as like data and patterns.
No, yeah, I think that's great.
I'm a nerd.
Yeah, totally.
Did you find it like helpful or confusing when you had different coaches providing you with different feedback?
Confusing. It just made it hard. I have ADHD already. So if I'm getting information from different people, I'm like, wait, what? And then I'm trying to apply it. Then sometimes another person would come tell me, oh, well, that's not. I'm like, but this person just told me to do it like this.
I know, that's so tough. I mean, it's so tough when your students, I'm joking when I say this, like bamboozle you and they'll like ask a question and you answer it and they're like, well, that's not how this coach showed me.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, ugh. And you know, they're not meaning to get at anything, but it's like, okay, well, I don't know the exact situation from which they gave you that answer or set that up or whatever. You know, there's a way to like not disparage also the other coach in any sort of way and just say, well,
another way to do it
like is this way. Yeah, I feel like I find it helpful. All right. So we talked about this a little bit earlier, but student responsibility is just important too.
Yeah.
This is a two-way street. I don't like coaches who play games, but students have to be engaged in their own learning. Like you can't just like implant knowledge into a person.
How cool would that be?
That would be so cool. I would be so much better at this than I am.
Me too.
But, you know, it is your responsibility to show up. It is your responsibility to be there. No one can make you physically go. We can check in. That's part of our weekly check-in. We say, who have we not seen?
Yep.
Should we reach out? We genuinely care. I can't force you.
Nope.
And there's just a point where like some of it's on you. You have to be there on time.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you come in late, you're not going to know what's going on. It's disrespectful to your instructor. It's disrespectful to your fellow students, and it impacts your own learning. Shit happens, but like generally be on time, be a little early, and also make the most of your time when you're there. Be very intentional with your practice. It doesn't mean that we don't like, you know, yip yap a little bit, but be intentional with your training. Everyone's coming there to train, and that is the shared mission when we're there. You also can and should ask questions. So that could be about technique. It could be about norms in the sport. It could be about promotions. It could be proactively communicating your goals. And I would say like, especially if you're not in on a regular basis, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about that so many times on this podcast. Like you can't tell me this person who is a mom or is working a really hard job or is in the military and maybe has deployments. I don't know. Like life is hard for all of us.
Absolutely.
Or works weird shifts. Like I have a friend who is a paramedic. Like she works weird shifts.
Mm-hmm. She does what she can.
And like, you know, if you're injured chronically, like if whatever the thing may be, like it's fine if your training isn't regular, but you are going to have different outcomes. Like that's just a reality. If you're physically not in the room, like you're not going to have the same outcomes as engaging in the practice. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fine, no hate, but like you have to take that accountability that like, yeah, I haven't been in and I haven't been training. But also if you haven't been in and you haven't been training and I see you and like you barely ever come in, I am not going to be like, what are your goals for jiu-jitsu? I'm just going to be like, I am so fucking happy you're here.
Yeah.
Step one. And that doesn't mean that I don't care about your goals. Like we'll get to that when you're able to like engage in the practice on a regular basis, even semi-regularly. But like if you're just having a hard time getting in the door,
we're just happy to see you in the door.
Dude, I'm just happy to see you in the door. I'm not going to bombard you with all that shit. So like if I'm not bombarding you with all that shit and you want to talk about it, it's a two-way street. Bring it up to me.
Yeah.
Because like I'm going to just, you know, err on the side of just like not bombarding you and just trying to like hype you up and encourage you because I'm happy you're there.
Yeah.
So not everyone can read the other person and what's going on. Just like being human is hard. Communication's hard. It's a two-way street. You should have certain expectations of your coaches, but you are also, you know, for the most part, I'm assuming everyone listening to this is an adult engaged in this practice. You can also be responsible for proactively communicating to your coach.
Absolutely.
And you should. So closing thoughts, flattening the hierarchy doesn't remove responsibility, right? We are just talking about redistributing it across multiple coaches. And the ultimate goal is that no one slips through the cracks. So these are things that we do. I'm not saying it's a perfect system. Again, if you have thoughts, I hope you reach out and let us know. If you are doing something differently, we'd love to hear that as well because we're always trying to do better.
Absolutely.
All right. So we have some listener questions and we actually had 3 that I had piled up that were all about promotions.
Oh, okay.
There was recently a chat in our Discord, but this isn't actually like I got this on Instagram.
Okay.
So that was The number one question we get constantly is about promotions. We've probably answered 10 to 15 promotion questions since we've started this podcast. And this is only episode, 58, 59, something like, or 68, 69?
68 or 69.
And we've probably answered promotion questions at least 10 or 15
And we're more than happy to
times.
answer more.
No, that wasn't a complaint. I just am saying, like, I had 3 that I received on Instagram about promotions. 2 were asking how to ask coaches for feedback.
Okay.
And then 1 was asking about how to manage feelings or comparisons, which was similar to our Discord discussion. So that's 4 separate, very recent. I'm just saying you're not alone if you're having these questions or you're feeling these feelings. Keep asking these questions. So it was, how do you manage feelings, comparisons, jealousy, that sort of thing, like being in your feels about promotions, and then how to actually ask your coach for feedback when you feel like they're not. Specifically, the tenor of the questions were like they're not giving that to you. They're not feeling seen.
Okay. All right. So managing the feelings, I feel like when I was a lower belt, I had a really hard time with this because when you are a lower belt, everyone progresses not necessarily at the same time, but it's quicker than when you're at higher ranks. It tends to, I don't know how to say that. It feels you're seeing the progress very quickly versus.
I think if you're training regularly, you see the progress more quickly because the gaps tend to close.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, like blue belt, you tend to be a blue belt longer. You're not usually, most people aren't purple belt as long, not usually as brown belt as long, etc.
Yes,
because you have I don't know what I'm trying. Words are hard.
Words are hard.
Yeah.
But
I understand.
So when I was in the lower belts, I felt like we should all be moving around the same time. Like I train all the time. I should be moving faster. I had a friend who got his purple belt, and I was like, I really thought I was close. Like we were going to get them together, kind of thing. But you really have to frame it more of in the mindset of how do I get what I want out of jiu-jitsu and what does that look like for me versus comparing yourself to someone else.
Do you think it was harder? I'm really interested in this because it was gi.
It was.
Because you see it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think about it as much now, which is why that weekly check-in is so important because as a coach, because like I'm not seeing people's rank, I don't think about it as much.
Yeah.
And my own, same.
Yeah, seeing the belt around someone's
and
waist.
The stripes.
Yeah. It almost forces comparison.
It does. I mean, it's a system that literally forces comparison. I think it was Wes, our friend Wes, who mentioned in the Discord that originally with judo, the point of that was just for the coach so they could quickly identify progress rather than just having to go into their shared Google Drive spreadsheet. Because I'm sure the founder of judo didn't have one of those. But maybe he was ahead of his time and ahead of technology there. But, like I can kind of get that, but then it's become almost like, it's become like a marketing and retention thing.
I mean, yeah.
But then the really gross downside to it is that it breeds comparison.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Yeah. I was just curious about that. If you felt like less angst, maybe in part because you're ranked higher now and you're getting close to black belt, or also because you're not in gi on a regular basis.
I think it's because I'm not in gi. I roll with Nathaniel and Joe all the time, and they're black belts.
Know that, but you're not like.
Yeah, I'm not like, oh, I don't want to roll with the black belts. Whereas I had a hard time approaching black belts when I was a lower rank. I was in the gi all the time because it's intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when you're not in your pajamas, it's less intimidating, I think.
Yeah, it's like you don't have just that immediate reminder until you start rolling with them, and
then you're like, oh,
and then you're like, oh shit, he's had his black belt for 3-4 years.
Yes,
I can feel it.
Also, asking coach for feedback when maybe they're just not presenting feedback. That goes back to just you as a student being responsible for your own progress as well. And it's just something you got to go to them with. And if they're not receptive, you're at the wrong place.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say that was the only thing I was really going to strongly jump in with is take it as a red flag. My number one red flag is if you ask a coach for feedback and they say, I don't know, let me watch you roll. The fuck you mean watch me roll? What have you been doing?
Obviously not watching you roll.
Yeah, or like watching you train, right? Watching you drill, watching you train, watching how you interact with your partners. Then they are not a good coach or they have too many students. That's all of them problem.
Yeah.
Again, they need to fix their ratio if they can't give those students that sort of attention. It's not individual attention.
Yeah.
but if they can't manage the room, they need other coaches. They need to kind of divide and conquer, whatever. But that to me is a really big red flag. That has happened, I think, until training with Jacob, almost every time I've asked anyone ever for help.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't know, let me think about it, or you're doing great.
And then
You're doing great thing kind of sucks, because I kind of get that now. I am very empathetic to that, because like I said, I feel like 90% of people are doing great and they just need to keep doing it. Keep doing great. Keep doing it. And not because I don't care or I don't have things that I could very intentionally point out. I just don't think that's best for their learning at that point. You know,
it's a little more sympathy for that.
I do have a little bit more sympathy for that, I think. I don't at the same time, because I think a lot of it is laziness, and it's not because they share that model of coaching. But I don't know that that's true, though. So
benefit of the doubt.
Give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they share that. Yeah, I also think feelings of comparison, exactly what you said. Like, it's easier said than done, but like, feel your feels. They're valid. Try to, I think, as best as you can also understand, even if it takes some time to parse through it, like, am I feeling this way because this is the system I'm in, that's part of the sport, blah, 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 blah. Or are there specific things happening at my gym that are contributing to this? Like, do I feel there's some misogyny? Do I feel like there's some favoritism? Do I feel like certain people, you know, are treated differently? Like, don't let go of your intuition and your pattern, you know, discernment, and take in the red flags and do with that as you will and as you see fit. But understand you could also just be in your feels a little bit. So there's I think that's a thing that's really tough to balance, is like, is there something, like, am I feeling icky because this is an icky system, this belt system? Because I think it's kind of icky.
Yeah.
Or am I feeling icky because it's an icky system and something else is not sitting well with me?
Yeah.
And if it's the latter, maybe get out, because it's not going to be worth your mental health long term.
Yep. I agree.
All right, questions for each other. If you could roll with any person, who would it be? This has nothing to do with this episode.
That's a good question. You know, I have multiple answers, but I'm really sad because quite a few of those answers, the people are icky. They're just like problematic people, so I won't pick them because, ew. Keenan Cornelius.
In the gi?
No, in Nogi.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just, I think it'd be fun.
Is he problematic?
No, he's not problematic.
No, I was like, I think he's great.
No, he's not. Well, not that I know of.
Well, I don't know.
But
no,
there are other people
I've quoted him before on here.
There are other people that are problematic who I wish I could say, but for lack of a better term, fuck them. So yeah, what about you?
I big advocate for women in jiu-jitsu, but I think mine are almost like all dudes. Craig Jones.
Oh, that's a good one.
Be a horrible fucking role. Like, actually, I think
I'm sure he's great with new people.
I think he's oh, wolf. Yeah, I think he'd be like a safe role.
No,
like,
yeah, I think he would.
do. But I'm just meaning, like, it would be like embarrassing. Lachlan.
Oh, duh.
Yeah. Like, the biggest thing I'm depressed about, dear audience, as we close out this episode about my surgery, is I was planning on going to Bali in October to train with Lachlan, so I won't be able to. So I've been depressed. That's what we say when our dogs are depressed.
Just a little depressed
about that. But Lachlan or Levi Jones-Leary.
Oh, those are solid choices.
All in Nogi. Because I don't need the grips on top of it. I don't need to get dog walked in that way. But because I love Fionn. Like, I love her, but like,
anyone, if you could pick anyone,
it would be those three. It would be because like, maybe less Craig Jones than the other two, but like, I think that they have the closest to the style of jiu-jitsu I'm trying to emulate. So like, rolling with someone like that would be fun.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, there are other people that are good or that I like, but unfortunately I feel like that I don't have like a female grappler that I'm like, my game is very similar to hers. Yeah. If that makes sense. Maybe, no, I started to say Adele, but I actually think we're quite different. I think most of her leg stuff's like false reap these days. Definitely I'm nothing like Elizabeth Clay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're just, I love them. They're great. I love watching them, but I think that's what I would like, as someone who like I've taken a lot from, and those are probably my top three that I've learned from the last few years.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. My question, favorite part about being a coach, as you've been now a coach for almost, it
was like a long time,
but in a program where you're running all of it for almost 7 months, a year, whatever. What's your favorite part?
About that specifically, running a program or being a coach?
in that aspect of being a coach. So you've been coaching for a long time. You've been teaching classes for a long time, but this new chapter of your life.
I don't know if I like it differently than just teaching, because I think that the thing I like the most is, I think it's like making people excited about jujitsu. Like, I wanted to say, like, it's about them having like a moment of like learning where they're like, oh my God, yes, that feels so good. But that's also very much ego fuel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not saying that that doesn't feel good, because I love, like, my boy Max will hype me up on like details. He'll be like, that detail was so like like whatever. But he's
whatever
like,
the kids say.
Yeah,
these
whatever
days.
these kids say these days. But like, he will hype me up on a detail, or he'll be like, that really helped my straight ankle, and I'm like, fuck yeah. And then like, you're like, oh my God, his straight ankles got so much tighter. You know, like, those things feel good. I'm not going to be disingenuous and like lie to you. Like, that part of coaching is really, really fun, to create your little like monsters, if you will, and, you know, see them actually like progress with things that you've helped them with. Even sometimes when it's like you tell other coaches to tell them because you think they'll receive the information better, even when you don't get the credit.
Right.
Like, there's something great about that, but it really is like when people have a good time, and not just because we're yip yapping, but like they're having a good time training.
Yeah.
Because like, we can hang out, we can get a beer anywhere, but like when they are having a good time doing jujitsu and working hard, like Clint today, he's competing and in 4 weeks in Chicago, and afterwards he was like, this was really great. And so the ego part is like, oh, it was like you liked whatever, but it wasn't like, I'm not, again, I love that he liked like the training. Like, that makes me feel really good, because we spent a lot of time watching comp trainings and designing these camps, and we have kind of a template, but we'll tweak it based on the individual people. And like, we're very proud of this work that we're putting into comp training, but it was like the joy that was so much better.
Yeah, it was.
So it was like the compliment felt really good, but it was that he like was smiling.
Yeah, he was
After
he,
2
like,
hours
lit
of
up.
like hard work.
Yeah.
And he was like, this was great. Like, I got a lot out of this, and like, I feel good. And like, just seeing that joy, and then like new people who come in and like find their place, and once they get going, you just see like, you see it because you start seeing them, like, they come in, they're tentative, and then they're like, okay, like, tell me about competitions and rules. Where do people get their rash guards? Like, I mean, it's, even with new people, it's like little things like that where you start seeing them fall in love with the sport, and that is so great. How about you?
I would say, what was my question again? Favorite part about being a coach? My favorite part just about this experience that we've been having is watching how great of a coach you are.
Oh,
I know. But in all honesty, just seeing you grow in this role has been the best thing. It's just, you're so good at it, and you're just getting better.
I just care a lot. I don't think I'm super good at it, and I'm not trying to be self-deprecating. I just think I care a lot, and that's the difference. And so I want to be better. That's all.
Yeah, well, that's my answer. So
that was really nice.
I know, I'm kind of the best.
Oh my God. I owe you a compliment or something.
Anyway,
edit that perhaps. Things we have coming up.
IBJJF.
Don't edit that.
I'm not going to. That's too much work. IBJJF Chicago Open is August 8th through the 9th. We've got quite a few people competing, so we will be there.
We do. Including you.
Yeah. Wish me luck.
I want to fight Andrea. She won't fight me.
No, we're not fighting each other.
I have surgery the next week. You'd be doing me a favor.
No. Also, Les Roll Queer Grappling Camp, April 27th through the 29th, 2027.
Yeah.
Fishers, Indiana.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
So, yeah.
It'll sell out. It's sold out every year, even with increased capacity. So it'll definitely sell out.
Yeah, if you want to come, please.
Real talk, registering, we don't make money off camp, so registering early helps us with like preparation. Like, it helps us with hotels and flights. I'm just being really blunt with everyone. If you're like, well, why would I register now and not just wait until March? Because, girlfriend, we have to pay for flights and hotels and stuff like that and have a budget. So earlier we can sell it out, the more it helps us in that regard. And then we also know if we have extra money, because we don't keep the extra money, we give the extra money away. So
yeah,
like this past year we were able to pay both with having a little extra money and a very generous donation
for the super fights.
We were able to pay for the super fights. So knowing ahead of time makes that a little bit easier.
Absolutely.
Me begging you to register. All right, where can people find us?
People can find the podcast letsrollradio.com and at Let's Roll Radio on TikTok, Blue Sky, YouTube, and Instagram. Discord link is in the bio. And you can find me, Andrea Shennigy, at Shennigy A, and my wife Kelly at Kelly Shennigy on TikTok, Blue Sky, and Instagram.
I'm barely on TikTok. I'm on Threads now. We didn't say that.
I don't. What's Threads?
You don't know what Threads? Well, Les Roll's also on Threads.
Les Roll's also on Threads.
It's Instagram's X/Blue Sky. So Andrea's only on Instagram, in case you can't tell.
Oh yeah, it says TikTok, Blue Sky. I have a Blue Sky and a TikTok.
I like that you said find you on TikTok, Blue Sky, and Instagram, but you don't know your TikTok or your Blue Sky.
I've got those though.
I don't think you have a Threads.
I don't. What? Okay, we'll talk about it offline, but I don't know what that is.
It's a Blue Sky. It's an X.
It's your X?
Twitter?
Twitter is X.
Are you okay?
We gotta go.
All right, bye.